last week, we wrapped up the law of respect. Um, Anybody, feel free to chime in. Do you agree that in most cases, people choose to follow leaders who they respect? Anybody have?
Absolutely.
Explain why, Jane, why? Why do you do that?
I couldn't follow someone I didn't respect. It wouldn't sit right with me. Why? Because if I don't respect them, that probably means they don't have any integrity. They may lie. They might not tell you, tell you things the way they really are. They give you partial facts or whatever. No, I don't want to be around somebody like that. I want to be
Yeah.
around people that are open-minded.
Can you think of a time where you found yourself in a situation where the leaders were really not leaders?
Oh, absolutely.
How did it make you feel?
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you really brought back some memories right there.
Yeah. Like you were wasting some time, valuable time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was in my orchestra days, and it had to be, in front of a 90-piece orchestra, and everybody was sick of it. And I'm the one that lost it and stood up and talked back to the conductor, because of the way he was treating someone, and it was horrible, and nobody liked it, but everybody was afraid of him. And I get that mother side steps in, and I saw myself stand up and say, "Stop it!" and and he told me to sit down, and I said, "No, not until you stop it." And everybody, the interesting thing there was the rest of the organization, if you will. When he stormed off, said, "Take a break," whatever, he left. As people walked by me, they pat me on the back and said, "It was nice knowing you." Nobody stood up for me.
Mm.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that was a big eye opener, and I didn't get fired. I did not get fired, but ooh, did he hate me after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
But yeah, and I eventually, then I got out of there and went to Germany.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let me ask you this though: when you went to bed that night, did you? I bet you slept pretty good.
I did. As well, yeah, I did. Considering that my roommate was one of the people who was so against this man, and was one of the ones that said, "Nice to know you." But
Interesting.
she didn't have the guts to stand up, and it stopped after that. So yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
listen, there's that. I'm proud of you because there's that old saying, if you don't stand for something, you can fall for anything. And there's another saying, if you've got 100 people walking in one direction and you're walking the other way, you're probably right. How many people post COVID wish they would have stood up and instead were sheep
yep.
and all they did is go bah.
I
You know,
stood up.
I know. Hey, listen, a lot of us stood up. A lot
Yep.
of us did. I was traveling a lot at that time, going through airports on airplanes. I suffered a lot of abuse at the people who were like sheep, anyhow.
Mhm.
But guess what? I sleep good. I stood up as you guys know, back in our poor administration with Jeff Bell, PWC meetings, I stood up against what Jeff and Glenn Peterson were doing to the field. And out in the hallways afterward, the Platinums would come up to me and go, "Thanks, John. Thanks so much for standing up." And I'm like, "Well, why didn't you guys support me in the meeting?" "Well, we were scared of being terminated." I'm like, "Really? Terminated for having an opinion, terminated for willing to fight?" I go, "Whatever happened to the day where the 1099 associate, needed to be represented and you guys weren't there?" So anyhow, it's like, it's all good. Anybody else want to weigh in on that one at all?
Woohoo!
I do.
With you.
Is that Rayetta?
Yes, that's me.
Go ahead, and then I think Jackie's going to go next. So, Rayetta, go ahead.
Well, the question was, can you respect a leader? Can you follow somebody that you don't respect? And I think when it comes into military terms, you have to respect the rank, but you don't have to respect the person. So, depending on what the ranking personnel says what to do, then if you want to go ahead and go to jail for what you believe versus what they're telling you to do, then I think the moral high ground is you got to stand up for your beliefs, what you believe. And if you stand with a higher power, then you have to go with that, whether what the consequences are. you have to stand up for what you believe, because it all comes down to just what you believe. So I stand with you.
Good for you. I tell you what, being in the military makes it an even tougher one because, you know, your higher command calls you to obey and step in line. I have a son-in-law who's an F-35 pilot at Luke Air Force Base. And, you know, don't, this isn't a political statement. Don't shoot the messenger here. I'll argue my position on things. And if your position is different, fine. That's, you know, it's nothing personal. But a lot of our military folks were forced to take the vaccine. To a lot of people in this country, it was an experimental vaccine, and we didn't feel like we needed to have somebody dictate what we put in our body. Well, the people in the military didn't have a choice. A lot of people in the military said no to the vaccine and they were fired. Well, guess what? Their day came and they're back and with full pay. Praise the Lord. You know, so it's tough sometimes, you know what I mean? And listen, if you took the vaccine, that's on you. That's fine. That was your choice. You know what I'm saying? It's your choice to do the things you want to do. Just don't force that choice on others per se. You know, now, Jackie, you wanted to weigh in? What did I see you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe that there's an old adage, whatever you do sometimes, you do all the times, or however you do something sometimes is how you do it all the time. And I would rather, and I'm grateful that people have shown me who they are at a lower level, because if you're cheating and conniving and untrustworthy at a lower level, you're just going to be that much worse at a higher level. So yes, absolutely. I could not trust a person with horrible integrity.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. How you do anything is how you do everything. That's a good one.
That part, that right there. Yep.
Yep. Let me ask you this just real quick, and then we'll kind of jump into the law of intuition, which I've had to read a couple of times because it is an interesting one for sure. But we all have intuition. So anyhow, how do you react when you are placed in a group of strong leaders? How do you react when you're placed in a group of strong leaders? Anything come to mind, anybody?
Yeah,
Personally, I'm quiet for a moment. I sit and listen.
Is that go ahead, Jackie? What's that?
I just said, me personally, I'm quiet for a while because I'm gleaning. I'm gleaning and seeing what I can learn from them. Especially if I feel like they're stronger than me, then it's my place to grab what I can.
So you're like a sponge.
I'm a total sponge.
That's very good.
Absolutely.
See, that's humility. That is absence of pride and ego. That's good. That's strong. Anybody else?
yeah, I agree that let the people stand up that want to stand up. And when nobody else wants to stand up and you have an idea, go ahead and move forward with your idea, because it doesn't hurt to have more people be involved. And that way you can decide what is the better way to go. Because even a child can have a great idea. Even like a 5-year-old can think of an idea. And if that sounds reasonable and if you can go with it, then let's do it. Not just wait for the higher leadership who you think that know what they're doing. Wait for all the ideas to come in and then go with the one that makes the most sense.
So what I hear, I love it. What I hear is you still carry a sense of humility and respect for the situation you're in, but also the strength and pride that comes forth with having an idea, being willing to put it out amongst your peers, and then have an opportunity to bounce off the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it might be.
Yep. That's what leadership is, listening to all your subordinates and see if your idea or their idea, who has the better idea. The purpose is to get the mission solved. And whoever has the most reasonable way to get the mission solved, let's do it. And then we can reevaluate later what did work, what went wrong, and how can we improve.
Well, I'll tell you what, Red, that's beautiful, because I'll tell you one of the things that bothers me almost more than anything is when I take a look at our military and our war fighters, we've got people that are putting dictates out in our Congress and our Senate on rules of engagement, and they've never been in a theater of war in their life. So they think that they've got a leadership position making calls for actual leaders out there in the field, you know? And thank God we've got leaders and warfighters who stand up and say, hey, these are the things we need to see, not dictates coming out of a Washington. So good stuff. Good conversation. Gwyneth, real quick, and then we're going to go into the law of intuition. You're on mute.
Okay, when I'm in a group of a number of leaders, what I do is pay attention to each and also see is there one that is acting like they're in charge and they know everything and they're taking up this speaking space, because I work to make sure that all voices get heard. And I think that's really important for making better decisions, because when there are a bunch of people who are all leaders, there's probably some wisdom with each person. And so I really like to hear from everybody and kind of suggest interrupting respectfully a person who's taking over.
Yeah, I tell you what, you know, there's good in that too. You've got leadership and you've got an opportunity to be a sponge and listen to those. I think it's always good to hear from others. You would probably all agree too that there are some who think that their voice is awfully important with no experience and no results. And as a leader, you've got to kind of stop it while it's in motion. I think we've all seen some of that, right? You get it? You know, I mean, many times I've sat there and I'd like to hear from the team. And then somebody kind of goes off the deep end and it's like, you got to take a leadership role and go, well, hey, time out. We appreciate your thoughts, but that's not the direction we're heading, you know? So anyhow, cool. Page 87. Again, I'm in a hardback, so this might not be the same page for you guys, but I'm going to give you a few of my thoughts, and I'd like to hear from all of you guys. Everybody is intuitive, and it talks about not all people are intuitive in the area of leadership, but everybody has intuition. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that. On page 88, one of the things that I liked right here, and I want to kind of settle in here for a second from a Legal Shield perspective, and let me read it. And this is when John Maxwell was talking to his wife, Margaret. Margaret would be invited to also be a speaker at events because people wanted to hear from John Maxwell's wife. And if you remember in the chapter, Margaret would say, John, you know, what do you think my topic should be? And he's like, I don't know, you know, anyhow. And he's like, he says here, you know, and she says to him, okay, but what would you do? Well, she's frustrated with John not giving her an answer on a topic or how she might want to address the audience. She goes, okay, but what would you do? And he said, well, I'd go out, talk to many of the attendees before the event to try to get a feel for who they are. You know, just check out the room. And I'd listen to what the host said and to the people who spoke before me to get an idea if I should play off something they said or something that happened earlier. I'd find a way to really connect with the audience. I was in New York City. I've done this for probably 35, 40 years. But I was in New York City this last week with Cliff and the team. I was with Jackie on a Zoom call for the whole Midwest just last week. Jane was there and a whole bunch of our other leaders. I go to College Park, Maryland this weekend. I like to get to the event, the briefing part. I like to get to the event probably 30 minutes early. I talk to the people that are there. I like to talk to the people a half an hour or so before we even get into the training, which I do most of the mornings. I like to ask questions. I like to meet the guests. I like to meet the associates. And I like to get a feel for the energy. I like to get a feel for the people. And it helps me. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to change my training per se. The biz op meeting stays pretty consistent message wise, but I also have an idea in my biz op presentation. Oh, there's a carpenter who's a guest. There's an insurance agent who's a guest. There's a teacher who's a guest. There's a mechanic who's a guest. There's a business owner who's a guest. There's a, employee benefits, person who's a guest. So I got an idea in my mind as I'm going through the questions I ask and as I go through the, wheel of our opportunity, how I can highlight certain things specific to professions and backgrounds that are in the room, because I was there early asking questions. My intuition kicks in because I've had a chance to get to know and get a feel kind of for the group. When you see this and you kind of read that on page 88 and get that first part of the law of intuition, does anything kind of come out in respect to what we do in Legal Shield for anybody? If that question doesn't make sense, ask me and I'll reframe it a little bit.
We ask questions and find out what people's why is, why they might want to be in the business.
Very good. Very good. Robert, one of the things you've heard me talk about, and we did it last week, and as a matter of fact, Ted Vitale and Mike Riches asked me to do a lead into the solutions training for one of the upcoming calls. Darcy calls it treasure hunting. It's all on the Shield Nation website. Ted referred to it as a consultative approach. What Robert just said is, what we've taught for so long. When I'm sitting down, whether it's selling the membership or recruiting an associate, I'm asking as many questions as I possibly can. One question is going to give us an answer that leads to another question that gives us an answer that leads to another question that gives us an answer. And it allows us to drill deeper and drill deeper and drill deeper. And it gives us the opportunity, especially if you journal or write things down like I do, to then when it comes to presenting the membership or when it comes to presenting the opportunity, you can wrap Legal Shield opportunity, you can wrap Legal Shield and ID Shield membership around every concern, interest, strength, why that person you're talking to might have. There's never an opportunity where you have to get into a big close. But because of the questions you ask and the intuition you have through that treasure hunting, you're going to know where to take the benefits you're offering based on the person you're talking to. Intuition goes from here to here when you ask questions. Anybody else? Comments? Make sense? Yes, no, difference?
Yeah, I think you just got to ask questions. You just got to get to know the person that you're talking with. And when you begin to have that dialogue exchange and you get to ask them just like, hey, why are you here? Are you from this area? And then your intuition will kind of take over and just lead into the next question as you begin to know the other person. And as they begin to talk, you learn what are they about? What are their issues? What are their concerns? And then you just casually bring up, hey, I might have a solution. Have you heard of Legal Shield?
Good.
It's a program that we offer that can probably help you with your situation. And it's just finding that calm entries to let them know this is what we do. So your intuition guides you on where do you come in? Where do you bring in that solution that they're looking for?
Good. Good. Absolutely. We did, and you're spot on, Rayetta. I think I challenged, maybe it was this group, maybe it was another group about maybe 5-6 months ago. I said, hey, have fun this week, sometime this week, just go out to a stranger. Okay. And if I'm wrong, you see me and I'll buy you a beer or a glass of wine at the next event, or I'll buy you, an appetizer, might even buy you dinner if I'm wrong. Okay. If you're wrong, you buy me dinner. Anyhow, just have fun this week. Just do this. And it doesn't even have to be to involve Legal Shield per se. I just want to prove something to you. Go out and ask a stranger 2-3 questions. And you can even start where Rayetta was. Where are you, how are you from Knoxville? How long you been in this area? When did you move here? What made you come this direction? What do you like best about whatever it might be? I can almost guarantee each of you within 30 seconds of just asking a few questions, you will find common ground with just about anybody. Yeah, we moved to Knoxville about 8 years ago. We were just tired of the cold up in the Midwest, and we were just looking for the great outdoors. We just love it here. Oh my gosh, you love the outdoors? That's one of the reasons we came here 22 years ago. Mountains and lakes and water. What is it you like to do in the outdoors? What is it that you like to do most? Oh, we'd love to go up to Cades Cove hiking. Oh my gosh, we bike on Cades Coves on Wednesday night. Isn't it one of the most beautiful areas in the Smokies you've ever seen? Boom, boom, boom. 30 to 40 seconds and we've got common ground. I promise you, out of 10 people you talk to, I would say 10, but at least 9 you'll find common ground with within 30 seconds. What happens when you find common ground? You know, you kind of got a chance to build rapport at any level you want with somebody. So, okay. On page 89, my comments here were General Powell. And I think everybody remembers General Powell. He says that his practice is to make a leadership decision after gathering only 40 to 60% of the information that can be obtained. And then he uses experience to make up the difference. So put this in your notes. You've heard the word analysis of paralysis. I've watched so-called leaders work to gather 100% of the information and they still can't make a decision. Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. You don't need 100%. You don't need for the company to come out with the next, oh, what do we got next for sales collateral? Oh, what do we got next for an incentive trip? Oh, what do we got next? Everything was available to us 50 years ago when Harlan created equal justice under law. Everything we needed was under the mission and vision that Harlan created. In other words, my example is 26 years ago in September of 1998, when Prepaid Legal acquired the People's Network, many of us I wasn't emotionally distraught. I was emotionally charged because we, for 4 years, had built a personal development network. We needed change. We thought we were going to get change in light of what we were doing with our television network. And we find out we're acquired by a company in Ada, Oklahoma called Prepaid Legal. Well, your mind's a lot like a parachute. It only works if it's open. So I'm like, well, who are these guys? What are they about? We need a bit of a life raft, a life, preserver, because we've been struggling with this company we've been trying to build. We've got a great idea, great things. It probably isn't scalable to the form we thought it was. And within 2 hours, I'm like, this is the greatest product I think I've ever heard of. I've needed this product for 20 years and nobody ever told me about it. I've needed this product legal plan for 20 years and I never even heard of it or knew it existed. Wow. So I became sold out immediately for the mission and the vision. Was always a proponent of personal development. That wasn't going to go anywhere because we were all free enterprise 1099 associates. I went to work. I didn't understand the comp plan. I didn't even really understand how to market the product yet. But I was ignorance on fire because I knew that was better than knowledge on ice. I knew that I could learn by going to the marketplace what it might take me months to learn in a classroom. Does that make sense? Too many people are stuck trying to have all the answers versus going out and doing the thing. And I think that's what we talked about last week. Do the thing and you'll have the power. So anybody have any thoughts on kind of those first few comments before we jump into maybe the last part of this?
Yep.
Hey,
Anything,
John.
any ahas for you guys on kind of what you saw here in the law of intuition? Duran?
Yeah, I just wanted to share because I did text you earlier and we did get our questions answered. And that was a thing going on with my niece and I. She's looking to enroll her grandfather on her father's side, and the whole family, they're coming together to get his trust together. He has a lot of land in Georgia and stuff like that. And reached out to another mentor and friend of ours, Mr. Valines, and he just said, guys, the service is great. Get them to get the service and let the attorneys answer these questions for them instead of us trying to go through member services and find out these things. And it was just the simplicity of it. It's like we know what to do, but sometimes we try to put the cart before the buggy before the horse, and just tell them what it is. Call the attorneys, let the attorneys take you through the process, because you're trying to get us to answer the question. If that's the case, then you don't need the service. And I think that's really sometimes what it is. And so we're waiting for the next step to go with this process to get them on board, because the whole family wants this service. And it's funny because they were talking, they're having in a family situation, just talking, and my niece, she's quiet and she's not saying anything. She says, I think I have a service that can help. And then when she presented it to them by sending them tools, everyone's saying, I like this. And her grandfather said, I had this plan years ago. So now it's just let the service work and stop trying to shoot ourselves in the foot trying to appease someone without having a plan. We're not the attorneys. Just put it in front of them. Let's roll. So
Good.
Yeah.
I think, and sorry I hadn't got back to you, Duran. I just got back in, so I was gonna follow the text up this evening, but
it's all good.
you still need to follow up tomorrow. I'm available. I'm completely open.
Absolutely.
But I think that's part of the problem with a lot of us is because it's our business, we want to have the answers all the time for everybody. That's the last thing you want to do. In other words, Duran's spot on. Keep it simple and just say, you know what? Those are great questions, but I'm not an attorney. Why not let the attorneys answer those things for you? All I know is with our service is you have unlimited phone consultation. How valuable is that? All I know with our service is 26 years ago, if all Legal Shield offered was phone consultation, I would spend $26 or now $34 or $37 a month for the preferred plan. I would spend that if that's all we had, because I could still find out what my legal rights are. I'll give you another example. Three-way calls. There's many, many times I have the answers for my prospect and I can answer their question, but I purposely move to a three-way call so they can see that I have team partners. They can see that I'm willing to provide support, and I can be vulnerable and say, you know what? I'd like to get Jane Lehman on the phone. She's a business partner. She's really done well in that area, and she can better answer your questions and share where we're going. And guess what? I get a chance to learn with you as we go through it. Let me get her on the call. What else am I doing? I'm also teaching my prospect that what I do and what they see is what they get a chance to do and duplicate. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple sometimes and be willing to say, you know what? That's a fantastic question. I'd like to get my business partner on the phone because they can better share with you what we're looking for, where we're going, and better answer that question. And guess what? I can learn with you. So, Jane, go ahead. Hand up.
Teresa, you're first.
Who
Or do
did I?
you want to
Oh,
go after me, Teresa?
Oh, yeah, I want to go back to your comment about analysis paralysis. We see that in Legal Shield a lot. The minute the company changes direction, let's talk about October 5th. Everyone was, not everyone, because that's not true, but some people, they were stuck. Well, why did we have to change? Why are we going to have 3 different ones? Why can't we have, first of all, we don't own the company. Okay. So there's certain decisions we don't get to make. But instead of looking at the glass being, I know the glass is either half filled or half empty, but what we fail to realize is the glass can be refilled. That's what we keep forgetting. And same thing, anything that's new. If they announce something coming out of convention in Baltimore, when we come back, some people are paralyzed. They got to think it through. They got to learn everything. They got to know this, know that. And said, just do it. Like he said, just do it. Like Darren said, just call the law firm and get the answers. Just do the deal. Like you said, do the deal and you'll get the power. You don't get the power before you do the deal.
Yeah.
Over to you, John.
Yeah, Teresa, so good. And for some of those folks, they probably should join our call, right, Teresa? Prior to, the research firm that did all the $4 million in research that Legal Shield paid for the 3 different plans. So, my question is look at the Fortune 500 companies. Of the Fortune 500 30 years ago, how many are no longer in the Fortune 500? And you'll see a huge amount. Blockbuster, not willing to change. Kodak, not willing to change. BlackBerry, not willing to change. I can take you through another 100 companies to the likes of the IBMs and the GEs who did change but weren't willing to change, and you look at what happened. It's imperative that we make changes. It's imperative that we do the things in order to exist 15, 20, 30 years from now. So, Teresa, good stuff.
Who Moved My Cheese? That's a good book to read for people who are having Who Moved My Cheese and Help, Our Iceberg is Melting by Spencer Johnson. Those 2 books will help you move past being stuck.
That's right. That's right. That's why I have a library behind me that I love to continue to engage in. Jane, real quick, then Stacey.
Yeah, Darren says, yep, I got it.
What's that?
He has Who Moved My Cheese. You can watch
there it
Help,
is.
My
There it
Iceberg is Melting is on YouTube. It's a short video, but it is so good.
Good. All right, good. Well, there's another one for everybody. Jane, real quick, Stacey, we'll go to you and then we'll kind of finish it up.
Yeah, one of the most important things, at least for me in this chapter, that really stuck out with me, John, was on page 92, the quote in the box that says, "Who you are dictates what you see," which is why we see things so differently from time to time. It depends on where you are, how evolved or whatever, however you want to see that. But I thought that was really a powerful statement.
Powerful. I have also earmarked page 93. So I'm going to come back to that, Jane, as we kind of get ready to wrap it up here. So, but so good. Stacey.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I do agree with Miss Teresa, how people can get mad if we don't know, own the company, and they think that we're like the lawyers that know all the answers, but we don't. So I just wanted to say that I agree with Miss Teresa and Miss Jane. And back to you.
Good. All right. Well, thank you, Stacey. Yeah, I thought just page 93 was really good. The president and CEO of Equip commented, "John, when you come into the office, you re-enter our world very easily." And John Maxwell goes, "I thought that was an interesting choice of words. So I asked, what do you mean?" And he says, "You are very aware of the atmosphere and environment," he explained. "You ask questions and quickly fall in step with us on our journey." I can't reiterate it enough. I think you guys get it. And it's not important what you guys get, it's what you duplicate in the team. Okay. And that is that you're going to get quickly in step with other people's journey when you ask those questions. I had, I won't get into details, but Darcy and I were flying down to Florida to see my mom and her husband. My mom's 89. And halfway down, I had an emergency in the airplane and I lost 2 systems. So I immediately had to turn back and fly back to Knoxville. All's good. We were safe. We made it. It was an emergency situation, but we got her done. So we drove down, thanks, Jane. So we drove down and we brought two friends back with us. And this one guy, Chip, is a friend of mine. He's personal development speaker, worked with Tony Robbins. He's done a call with all of us for you guys. I'm going to invite him back to do a call. I love the guy, but he drives me absolutely nuts because he is a guy who is on information overload his whole time. So while we're in a conversation, we could be talking and he'll put his phone out in front of me. You got to see this. You got to see this. And I'm like, Chip, I'm not interested in seeing this right now. I don't really care what it is you're seeing, but I'm in a conversation with somebody and I don't want to see it. Okay. Sorry. 5 minutes later, while we're all at a table having dinner, he's on his phone and he's garnering information from whatever news source it is that he's into at the time. And he's like, so I wrote this down. Two things. And I think this is a group, I love what Brenda said earlier. If you live with an attitude of gratitude, if you start your day, and if you look at every situation with, to Teresa's point, the glass being half full, I promise you, you're going to have a successful life, a very successful life. I tried to share with my friend, Chip, I love you. And when the Lord calls you home, the last thing you're going to think about is spending more damn time on that stupid phone and garnering more information. I said, my friend, be in the moment, because you won't have a lot of moments like what you have. Be in the moment with your wife, be in the moment with your kids, be in the moment with your friends. When you're at that sit down with somebody, when you're at that Panera Bread, when you're at your biz op meeting, when you're at your training, when you're with your family for a big dinner, when you're at Thanksgiving, when you're at Christmas, leave that damn phone in the car. Put it somewhere and turn it off. Because guess what? You're going to survive and you're going to be okay. Be in the moment. When you're with your prospects, when you're with your team, when you're with others, be in the moment and be more interested and sincere in how you can bring value to that group than anything else that might be going on around you, and watch what happens. And that's what I kind of read with John Maxwell here. It says, he says to the guy, he goes, you are aware of the atmosphere and environment. And he explained, you ask good questions and quickly fall in step. You ask good questions and quickly fall in step because you're not on your phone. You ask good questions and quickly fall in step because you're not looking at everything that's going on around you. You're in the moment. And anyhow, I'm going to kind of leave it with that. Anybody have any kind of parting comments on that one? Jane, that was good. I saw the same thing you did on that one. Anybody else?
This is Barry Fisher.
Hi, Barry.
And I like what you said. Thank you, sir, about me. Because I like that, what Teresa said also. But one thing, since I had surgery, my open heart surgery in 2019, I don't do things based on the day anymore. I do it moment by moment. And that what you just said resonated with me, because we're not guaranteed that we're going to be here in the next moment. So we got to do things moment by moment. So I love that.
Barry, that's even more powerful with the guy who goes in for heart surgery and realizes, you know what, there's a lot more things that are important than maybe how I saw things before. So yeah, that's good stuff, man. I love it. Anybody else?
I
Go
have
ahead.
I believe that, and I've actually done this, but I feel like the phones should not be anywhere in the vicinity during a conversation with another, because it shows a lack of respect for the time they're giving you. And I am very opposed to people who you'll be right in the middle of something and they've got their phone there, and I just quit talking. You know, I mean, eventually they're gonna look at me and I'm gonna look at them, and I think that says enough. And usually people will say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, thank you.
Right.
But I have grown up kids, 20s, 30s, 40s. And when I'm around them, I have one that has that bad habit. And, he's an adult, but I will say, I've invited you out to dinner and I don't get a lot of time with you. I would appreciate that the phone is off because he can't resist it, you know? And I make it clear. I just think it's a very rude habit and it takes you away from the moment. So I
Yeah.
probably would have put your friend out like halfway down the road, you know, but anyway, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, the good news is he does have ears to hear. He's a little bit slow to react, but eventually one of these days he's going to be like, "Hey, thank you. I understand now what you're saying." You know what I mean? So, and he's also able to watch the kind of marriage that Darcy and I have, that his wife wishes the two of them had, you know, and so we're going to help him get there, you know,
That's
because
right.
when we're together, you know, and I think it's important. So,
Hey, John,
yeah, Teresa.
I wanted to say, you know, even as Patty was saying with us as Legal Shield Associates, but I have a friend of mine who, whenever we go over to their parents' home, right at the door is a basket. You have to drop your phone in the basket, and you
Mm.
don't get it until you're leaving their home because they want that time to be together. And with the phones, when you think about it, you know, everybody, if you go into a store or if you just observe what's going on around you, everybody is in their phone. No one's communicating like they did when we grew up. You know, when we grew up, we played outside. Nowadays, they play inside on their phone or PlayStation or what, you know, that kind of stuff. So they miss the whole piece about communication. And they also miss how to correctly spell words, because what do we do when we text? We abbreviate sometimes. So it's really important that we think about our communication skills as it relates to being able to communicate with one another and
That's
not
right.
just leave it all to being on the phone and doing emojis and all of that good stuff. So really, really important,
Yeah. There's a
I
statistic,
think.
that came out. I'm going to butcher it. I have to ask my daughter for it, but like 95% of the kids today have an average of less than 8 minutes outdoors.
Mm.
I don't
Mm.
even want to go down that road right now as to how sad that is. To Teresa's point, I got spankings because we were outdoors so long and we were late for dinner. Because that's the only time we came back when it was dinner time. And when we were late, we got spanked. That's because we were out in the woods doing things that kids like to do. All right. Next
Yeah,
week,
you weren't home before. You got to be home before the street light
For
comes
the
on.
street light come on.
Thank you. You got in our community. We had to be home before the street lights came on.
yeah, I trust me, I get it. We we'll have fun with that one another time for sure. But
Absolutely.
real quick, just for opening next week, do you agree with the author that intuition is not only natural, but can also be developed? So do you agree with the author that intuition is not only natural, but that it can also be developed? And I'm going to ask you to just kind of explain a couple of reasons why next week. Okay. The other question, at which level of leadership are you? How has your intuition affected your performance and leadership ability? Okay. Hey guys, we're family. And you might say my intuition on a 1 to 10 is a 3. That's okay. That means you get to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And we're the kind of family that's going to help you do it. We can be honest, we can talk because there's trust and there's never any judgment in this group. And never should there be judgment or a critical spirit. So at which level of leadership are you? How has your intuition affected your performance and leadership ability? Just think through those. Let's have discussions. And that'll take us into the law of magnetism. All right. So
John,
all you magnets, all you little magnets. All right. What, Duran, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to share with the family before we leave out. On yesterday, I get a lot of books from the Goodwill, and I have about 15 books here for about 20 less than $20. And I bought a book for my wife Joy. Whoever had the opportunity to meet Joy, she's disabled. She has MS. She has multiple sclerosis, and I found a book, 300 strategies to help you with your daily life with MS. And she was so happy. She started reading about 8 to 10 pages or so of this book last night. And she goes on her blog on Facebook with MS group. And this one lady is such a Debbie Downer. She's very critical of the book and saying that book, the author is terrible, this and that. And Joy calls down to me on the phone. So I'm still downstairs. She's upset. And she says, I think that book is, the lady say it's horrible. It's like giving you a death sentence on the book. And I was like, what the hell is this lady talking? Excuse my language, what is she talking about? I said, Joy, do not allow people to make you feel a certain way. If you're happy about this book, you find the strategies that's in that book that works for you. Don't let people try to bring you down to their level, because that lady probably was like that before she even had MS. You don't know that. I said, do not allow that. Do not allow someone to come and take you down a notch because they want you to be where they're at. And she went, and then the lady went on the group and posted another group chat about this. Like, and I'm like, Joy, that's just showing you who this person is. And you know this to be true because Joy's diagnosis, her MS doctor told her that if I had 100 MRIs in front of me, your MRI is the worst. But yet you're still upright. At times you're moving, and you're the happiest person I know.
So good.
And that's just favor from God.
Yeah.
So guys, you fight. Regardless, you fight for yourself, your family, and people that you don't know. Guys, I'm battling things, and John, hopefully I might have a conversation with you in private, where even my life was at stake just recently from old friends. Because even the enemy is willing to use anyone against you guys, but you got to believe that God has you here for a reason. That's why I haven't really been plugged in as much on the call and stuff like that, guys. But I'm telling you, I got to focus on the main thing. And God said he's going to give me long life, and my wife long life, and our family, and we're going to be prosperous, and we're going to celebrate with everyone on this call and the friends that's coming that we don't even know yet. So you guys just fight. Do not allow folks to come at you, because that's their problem, not yours.
Yeah, Duran, let's talk more. A couple of things come to mind here is the enemy knows where to attack all of us. What I'm going to tell each one of you, as Duran just said, and there's from Bridget, the light. So there it is. The darkness can never exceed the light. That's a very simple thing to understand. And the authority is ours. So that's the price that was paid by our Heavenly Father. Here's something else is for everybody. Is just like Duran, what you're saying is never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. Never let someone else's opinion of you become your reality, because that's a lie from the pit of hell too. And for Joy Duran, maybe you guys have seen it. The one thing that comes to mind is check out the autobiography of Christopher Reeves. I mean, Christopher Reeves. I haven't read it.
Yeah. Okay.
As handsome a guy, as athletic as a guy, as talented as a guy as you could ever meet. And he breaks his neck riding horses.
On a horse.
Look at his attitude and what he still felt he was purposed to do. And I mean, you know, for the joys of the world and anybody with MS, you're going to be in our prayers, and keep up the good work, brother. You're making a difference, and your wife's lucky to have you for sure. And you're lucky to have her.
Yeah, absolutely. She's found her purpose now. She said she didn't know what her purpose was. And she said, my purpose is to inspire. She put that on her Facebook page today. And she's the toughest person I know, guys. She's survived cancer and everything. And she's a fighter. She's a fighter, guys. I live with winning, and I just have to learn how to win, because I live with a winner. I know what champion looks like. I know a champion, and I just gotta catch the fire. That's it, you know. Yeah.
You put it in you.
Yeah. So Appreciate you guys. Thank you for allowing me to extend the call, John. I appreciate you guys. Mr. Cowell, I have your number. And I just love you all, guys. I thank God for everyone that's on this call. I
Yeah.
really do. Yep, you guys
You're
keep my
welcome.
sanity.
Love
Keep
ya.
me
Love
safe.
you. Love
Careful.
All
you.
right, guys.
Yeah.
My brother
me
from
too.
another mother.
Okay,
Take
night,
care, guys.
everybody.
Be well.
Good night. Good
night.
night.
Evening.
Good night.
Be blessed.
Thank you, everyone.
Be blessed. Amen.
Thank you, Brenda.